one more obstacle between you and your dinner at this point. Deepest thanks to the Richard Brooksman, Kieran McLaughlin, the American Island Fund, and to all of you for your immense generosity, not just financial terms, but also the gesture of solidarity with Ireland and the people of Ireland. I really wasn't quite sure what to say this evening, but I thought maybe, well, I'm here to introduce Ivan Cahill, who together with Dr. Brendan Cuddihy and a group of extraordinary committee members have been the driving force behind the Wicklow Hospice Foundation. And I thought I might just say a few words about how I got involved in the foundation, and it was because of Ivan. She called me in 2009, and it was a coincidence. My mother has just recently passed away, and she'd been unwell. I think it was in August when Ivan called me, but my mum had been unwell since the previous Christmas, and we knew that it was probably something quite serious. We didn't know what it was. But after a number of smaller emergencies, the final emergency took her to a hospital. I'm just going to illustrate the two kind of bookends, the two extremes of the national health system in England, which is often denigrated, but it can do wonderful things as well. So my mum, I was in Ireland at the time, and I heard my mum had been taken to a hospital in England, and I knew, speaking to the doctor, that it was very serious. And I said, look, I'm coming, I will be there within 24 hours. I was packing up, I was going to move over to England for that period of time. Please don't do anything till I get there. And when I arrived in England, a doctor had seen fit to tell my mother that she had an inoperable brain tumor, and just left her there to contemplate the end of her life. And I found her in a state of mortal terror. And she was in a geriatric wing of this hospital, which I think was condemned, actually, and probably demolished within a month of her leaving it. And there were people screaming, there were people in all kinds of states of distress. There were people also going through their last illness towards the end of their life, and my mother was in terror. And then her general practitioner, her family doctor, with our help, had her transferred to what they call in England a cottage hospital in Petersfield, very close to where she lived. And it wasn't a hospice entirely, but the top floor of the hospital was devoted to hospice care. And it was about 2 miles away from my mother's house, and she was given the choice because she was still able to make decisions at that stage. And she chose to stay in the hospital. The reason she chose to stay there was because of the unimaginable compassion and care and kindness and skill with which the entire nursing staff guided her and us as her relations, myself and my sister, because of course the families are so much part of that experience. So the people working in hospice care are also taking care of the families of the people in their last illness. And so we were all in this, as far as such an awful situation can feel good, we were guided by these wonderful people through to the end of my mother's life, and she chose to stay there because she was happy there. My father-in-law, my wife's husband's, my wife's father also had hospice care at home the last part of his life, and so I also experienced it during that occasion. Just seen what was possible at a time when it really seems so very difficult to allow a person to have their dignity. Very special people that work, and it does take very unusual people to do that work, but they know how to allow each individual their dignity at that time. So, it was my great privilege when Ivan called me that I was in a position to help. And I think we are lucky. When we find ourselves in a position to help in some way with something as important as this, it is our privilege. And I'm very grateful for that to Ivan and our colleagues. And the people of Wicklow have raised amongst themselves, and there's not a lot of money to spare in Ireland right now. They don't have any more money in Wicklow than they do anywhere else in the country. And they've raised €3 million between them. And I cannot tell you all here how grateful we are and how much it will mean to all the people of that county to have this gesture of solidarity with them and the generosity of your financial help. This hospice is not just a possibility or a probability, it is going to happen. We're going to start building the hospice later this year. We had hoped that the government health organisation would come in when we reach the target figure of 3 million. Now with the financial situation, there's no guarantee that's going to happen, and we have to assume, people understand that here, I think, probably, that you're going to do something like this, of this kind, you've just got to get on and do it yourselves, and that's what the people are doing in Wicklow. We're tremendously grateful to you, thank you, and I'd like to introduce the wonderful Ivan Kaplan.